In this video, we will look at the latest housing numbers in the East Bay. Hey guys, my name is Mac Rogers. I'm a real estate broker here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Welcome to the channel. Before I dive into the East Bay numbers, let's first look at the housing market forecast from the industry experts. On one of my past videos, I've shared the home price forecast starting at the end of 2021 all the way to last month. On each new forecast, I have said that most likely the forecast was going to be revised upwards, which is what happened. Every subsequent new forecast, the estimates were higher. But on my last video, I said that we are most likely to see the next set of forecasts getting revised downwards. Quite frankly, I was even confident that it will be revised down. Well, I was wrong. Take a look at this new forecast update. The average of all the forecasts from experts is now at 10.3%. That increase instead of going down. Now, the one thing that I find curious is that take a look at the highest forecast from Fannie Mae. They are saying a 16% increase in home price appreciation, while on the other end of the spectrum is the Mortgage Bankers Association. They are forecasting below 3% appreciation. The question to ask here is, what are these two seeing in the data and how are they interpreting it? Look, pretty much all these entities like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, NAR, etc. all have access to the same data. So you have to wonder why the MBA is so conservative and Fannie Mae is way up there. I guess we'll find out at the end of the year who's right. Now, along with their forecast for prices is also the number of transactions or sales. And pretty much everyone is in agreement that the number of sales transactions will start going down. This forecast has been pretty much consistent across the board from all experts. We are facing a slowdown. Now, however, if you look at the average of what they are forecasting, we are still ahead of the average from the previous years. In this case, 2017 to 2019. It's because those were the years in the real estate market that we still considered normal years, like prior to the pandemic. So even though the forecast is going down, we are still ahead of those numbers. Which brings me to this point. No matter what you're hearing in the news, it's still a seller's market out there, and here's why. As there's more and more talk about the real estate market cooling off from the peak frenzy we saw during the pandemic, you may be questioning what it means for your plans to sell your house. If you're thinking of making a move, you should know that the market is still anything but normal. Even though the supply of homes for sale has been growing this year, there's still a shortage of homes in the market. And that means conditions continue to favor sellers today. Look, it's fairly simple. That's because the level of inventory of homes for sale can help determine if it's a buyer's or a seller's market. Think of it like this. A buyer's market is when there are more homes for sale than buyers looking to buy. When that happens, buyers have the negotiation power because sellers are more willing to compromise so they can sell their house. In a seller's market, it's just the opposite. There are too few homes available for the number of buyers in the market, and that gives the seller all the leverage. In that situation, buyers will do what they can to compete for the limited number of homes for sale. A neutral market, which we haven't had in years, especially here in the Bay Area. This is when supply is balanced and there are enough homes to meet buyer and seller demand at the current sales pace. And for the past 2 years, we've been in a red-hot seller's market because inventory has been near record lows. The blue section of this graph highlights just how far below a neutral market inventory still is today. Now, what about what you are seeing all over the news, right? The best way I can describe this is we were in ludicrous mode and now we are just speeding. You see, the bottom line is that there is still demand and buyers just don't want to pull the trigger right now with all the uncertainty in the market. In other words, the inventory shortage is still a real problem. Now, let's look at the latest numbers for the East Bay and see if there's a housing market crash that everyone is afraid of, or what types of changes are actually happening right now. I will give you the stats on detached homes. If you're interested in condos and townhomes, please comment below and I'll get that to you. Let's start with the 880 corridor and look at the inventory numbers. In the 880 corridor, only Albany had less inventory when compared to July of 2021. Union City up 175%, Castro Valley up 132%, Newark 119%. The rest of the cities all up significantly as well. The number of sales, all the cities are down in sales volume. Newark and Union City leading the decline at over 60%. All other cities are down big as well. Days on the market, or how fast properties are going pending, only Berkeley and Newark stayed the same. All the other cities are taking longer to sell. Albany, Union City, and Alameda slowed the most. Finally, the median sales price. The numbers are mixed for the 880 corridor. Some are down and some are up. The significant numbers to look at are for Newark, up a big 27%, while my home city of Castro Valley is down a little over 10%. Moving on to West Contra Costa County. Inventory are all up across the board. Hercules, the biggest gainer, up a big 131%. The number of sales for West Contra Costa County are surprisingly all up. I would venture to guess that one of the reasons is that this part of Contra Costa is still less expensive when compared to the other parts. But even with the increased number of sales, the days on the market for West Contra Costa County are all up, meaning sales are taking place longer. The median sales price in West Contra Costa County is mixed. Richmond, the biggest decliner at 10.47%, and El Sobrante, the biggest gainer at 6.52%. Moving on to Central Contra Costa County. Clayton was the lone city that did not see an increase in inventory. All the other cities increased in inventory, with Martinez up the biggest. The number of sales, again, Clayton was the only one different. Clayton up in sales while the rest of the cities are all down. The number of days it would take for a property to get into contract, all going up, with Clayton adding the most days, from only 6 days to 20 days. Home prices are pretty mixed as well in the Central Contra Costa region. Clayton down 12.32%. Concord up slightly at 1.3%. Martinez down 3.59%. Pleasant Hill up a big 12.72%. Walnut Creek also up 9.21%. Moving on to La Morinda. Inventory up all in La Morinda. The number of sales all down in La Morinda. Days on the market, only Lafayette selling faster. Moraga and Orinda sales are getting longer. Finally, the median sales price, all down, with Moraga down significantly, down almost 22%. Let's head over to the Tri-Valley. Inventory up across the board, with Dublin and San Ramon up almost 200%. Alamo was the only city with double-digit increase. The rest of the cities are all up over 100%. Number of sales in the Tri-Valley are all significantly down as well. Alamo, the biggest decliner, at 64%. Days on the market paints a different picture for Alamo. Houses were selling much faster in Alamo, from 26 days to only 13 days. All the other cities are taking longer to sell. Finally, the median sales price. Alamo up a nice 12.94%. Danville down slightly at 0.86%. Dublin also down slightly, 1.27%. Livermore up a little bit at 0.43%, and Pleasanton up a little bit at 1.19%. Oh, and San Ramon up a good 6.51%. Finally, the Delta. Inventory up everywhere. Antioch doubling in the number of inventory. The number of sale is all down except for Pittsburgh, which is up quite a significant number, up 19%. Days on the market, however, are all the same. Everything is taking longer to sell in the Delta. The days on the market are all up significantly. And finally, the median sales price. The Delta region is the only region this month that prices are all up. Not crazy numbers, but it's still up. So I talked about how it's still a good time to sell earlier. Now, it doesn't mean it's all bad for home buyers. There is a window of opportunity right now that you need to grab if you're thinking of buying a house. Mortgage rates are much higher today than they were at the beginning of the year, and that's had a clear impact on the housing market. As a result, the market is seeing a shift back towards the range of pre-pandemic levels for buyer demand and home sales. But the transition back towards pre-pandemic levels isn't a bad thing. In fact, the years leading up to the pandemic were some of the best housing markets we've seen. That's why, as the market undergoes this shift, it's important to compare today not to the abnormal pandemic years, but to the most recent normal years to show how the current housing market is still strong. Higher mortgage rates are moderating the housing market. Translation, it's slowing it down. The Showing Time Showing Index tracks the traffic of home showings according to agents and brokers. It's also a good indication of buyer demand over time. Here's a look at their data going back to 2017. Check out this graph. Here's the breakdown of the story this data tells. The 2017 through early 2020 number shown in gray gives a good baseline of pre-pandemic demand. The steady up and down trends seen in each of these years show typical seasonality in the market. The blue on the graph represents the pandemic years. The height of those blue bars indicates home showings skyrocketed during the pandemic. The most recent data, shown in green, indicates buyer demand is moderating back towards more pre-pandemic levels. This shows that buyer demand is coming down from levels seen over the past 2 years, and the frenzy in real estate is easing because of higher mortgage rates. For you, that means buying your next home should be less challenging than it would have been during the pandemic because there is more inventory available. And I've just shown that to you in the latest East Bay market report. As mortgage rates started to rise this year, other shifts began to occur too. One additional example is the slowing pace of home sales. Using data from the National Association of Realtors, here's a look at existing home sales going all the way back to 2017. Much like the previous graph, a similar trend emerges. Again, the data paints a picture of the shift. The pre-pandemic years, shown in gray, establish a baseline of the number of existing home sales in more typical years. The pandemic years, shown in blue, exceeded the level of sales seen in previous years. That's largely because low mortgage rates during that time spurred buyer demand and home sales to new heights. This year, shown in green, the market is feeling the impact of higher mortgage rates, and that's moderating buyer demand. And by extension, home sales. That's why the expectation for home sales this year is closer to the market that we saw back in 2018-2019. So why is this all good news for you? Both of those factors have opened up a window of opportunity for home buyers looking to move and for buyers looking to purchase a home. As demand moderates and pace of home sales slows, housing inventory is able to grow, and that gives you more options for your home search. So don't let the headlines about the market cooling or moderating scare you. The housing market is still strong. It's just easing off from the unsustainable frenzy it saw during the height of the pandemic, and that's a good thing. It opens up new opportunities for you to find a home that meets your needs. The bottom line, the housing market is undergoing a shift because of higher mortgage rates, but the market is still strong. If you've been looking to buy a home over the last couple of years and it felt impossible to do, now may be your opportunity. Buying a home right now isn't easy, but there is more opportunity for those who are looking. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you want to get updated on what's going on in the real estate market, especially here in the East Bay. Have a great day.